Hi, guys. Welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. This is the second episode of the week, and I'm super excited to sort of tag on to what I've talked about earlier in the week, which was the three components of finding your purpose and the three things that people don't really think about that much, but are critical to finding your purpose. And before I get into it, just go ahead and do me a huge favor and subscribe. I really invite you to do that. If you're enjoying my videos and would like a little bit more information or want to continue to keep up, please hit the subscribe button and like this video. And of course, always make comments so that I know how you're feeling and know what you're thinking about how this is going and what's on your mind. So, before I launch into it. So earlier in the week, I talked about how the mind, body, and soul are such a critical component or components to finding your purpose. And I went into all the details, which I won't do again here. So if you're interested in what that means, please go ahead and go back. And in that video, I also talked about the foundation of how you find your purpose, which is all it is, super simple. Your life's purpose is carrying out your soul's desires. And if you want more information about that, I also have a video over on my YouTube. I think it's literally called How to Find Your Purpose. So it's pretty straightforward. And I want to today riff a little bit more on the soul component of the three components that I mentioned in my previous video. And the reason I want to do that is because it's a bit of a complex thing, to be honest with you. When we think about how do we find our purpose? How do we carry out our soul's desires? When we know that our purpose is to carry out our soul's desires, obviously that doesn't answer the question, well, then what is my purpose? But it does if you let it. But a lot of people don't want that as the simple answer. People want a more complicated or difficult answer. But if you really embody that and you really understand that component, then the second piece is, okay, well, then how do I know what my soul's desires are? And it's such a huge question. How do I know what my soul's desires are? It's a really big question. And I'm not going to lie to you and say it's so easy to answer that question. It's so easy to do this work because it's not. In fact, there's just a lot that goes into it. And there's a few things that I want to talk about today that do go into it that may keep you from having the ability to listen to your soul, therefore fulfilling your life's purpose, therefore having a fulfilling life. So it's all kind of like one thing bleeds into the next, you know? And so one of the big things I want to talk about is doing the work to heal, because your soul has been with you for the longest time. And it doesn't matter if you're listening to this at the age of, 20, 25, 35, 45, 75. It doesn't really matter what age you're listening to this at. You can appreciate the fact that your soul has been with you the whole time. And so if your soul has been with you the whole time, that means your soul has seen what you've seen. It means your soul remembers everything that has happened to you. So when you were a little kid and something really terrible happened to you, your soul remembers that. You might have thrown that into your subconscious mind and you can't pull forward the memory, but your soul definitely feels that. Therefore, your body keeps it inside of you as well. And I want to talk about that part because it's going to be really difficult for you to have a connection with your soul if you don't really have that connection with yourself, which is AKA your soul. But the thing that will keep you from being able to do that, or one of the things that will keep you from connecting with yourself and connecting with your soul, is if you've not gone through the process of healing damages that have been done throughout life. And honestly, the thing about it is, guys, like, we're not going to stop this from happening. It's just about having a human experience. There's no parent on this earth that's going to raise a child, and that child's little soul and little body and little brain are never going to experience things that are hard for them. You're never going to have a person or have a soul that's living in a body that gets to like go to school or whatever it is they do on a regular basis as a kid and not probably get picked on once or twice, right? Or maybe lots of times. And so we have to understand that one of the huge pieces of being able to understand ourselves, understand our soul, fulfill our soul's desires, which is what our purpose is the ability to heal and heal some of those wounds that have been put upon us throughout our life. And the reason being is if we don't do that, then it's kind of like, it reminds me, and this was an analogy that someone gave me when I first started doing this work. Let's just say you adopted a dog, and that dog was very skittish because it had been abused. And you're wanting this animal to come out and play with you. You have children, you want it to be a part of the family, you want to feed it, it's hungry, it's been abused, and it doesn't have good weight on it. But it just keeps hiding under the bed. And the thing about it is that poor little puppy who's been abused in its lifetime or had bad experiences with maybe humans, maybe certain kind of humans, and it's just hiding under the bed, you're not going to be able to just drag it out by its paws and force it to face everything, not force it to be fed, not force it to trust you. And so the soul's kind of like that. And not to say that your soul is or has been abused and that's why it's kind of hiding or not speaking up, or you can't hear it, or you can't see it, or you can't feel it. Honestly, like, some of our souls have been greatly abused. We all know this. Some people have really terrible, nightmarish situations or experiences in their childhood or when they were growing up or even in their adulthood. And so for you to think about how do you connect with your soul, and then getting frustrated when you feel like you might not hear or see your soul very readily, you have to understand that healing is a massive component of this, doing the work to heal. And then the soul will start getting braver and braver about communicating with you. And in my other videos, I talk about how you listen to your soul through the emotions that you have. And so when your soul gets braver and feels more safe to explain to you or share with you those emotions and those feelings, that's when you can really start gaining some understanding of what it is your soul wants and fulfilling your purpose, which is fulfilling your soul's desires. So healing is such a huge component of this process. And I would say that if you can get real honest with yourself and think back to experiences of your life and think about, for real, were you in situations that could have potentially made your inner self, your little self, your inner child have some reservations about coming out and playing, just like the dog example that I gave earlier, right? If an animal has been abused and they're hiding under the couch or hiding under the bed for protection, you're not just going to grab it by its paws and rip it out from underneath the bed and make it do whatever it wants to do. Same with your soul. So you have to get through that healing process, that trusting process before you expect it to really come clean and be honest with you and really start expressing how it feels and feeling safe to do that. So the other thing that I think is really important in this journey of trying to fulfill your purpose as it relates to the soul is your ability to understand the monumental impact your mind can have on your soul. Because if I'm sitting here telling you that your soul speaks to you through your emotions, you have to understand, and you cannot forget ever, that the mind will create a lot of those emotions. And so it's almost like through your healing and through your understanding of all this work, you're starting to understand like how to protect your soul or how to protect yourself. And this doesn't mean like you stay in your house and you never go anywhere, because we can't do that. We could, but it's not healthy. And really what this means, though, is understanding that connection, that your mind might start creating these emotions from your soul because your mind is freaking out. So your job is to sit above these components, mind, body, and soul, and sit above them. And this way you can have the sort of parental aspect of what needs to be happening here. So you have to understand that if you were to say to me, well, Melissa, if I understand my soul speaking to me through my emotions, but I have a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, there might be some things happening in your mind that you're almost not even catching, you're not even aware of. I'll give you an example. I'm oftentimes afraid to be in trouble. And I think it's just because when I was younger and my mom caught me doing stupid stuff, as moms do, or not being a good human or acting like a brat or whatever it was, um, what, for whatever reason, in my mind, like it was as if something got in my brain and laid eggs with it, is that I don't like to get in trouble. Like I get really afraid I'm going to get in trouble. And so if my mind really wants to kick it up a notch and not allow me to do something different in life because it's afraid of change, but also it's going to remind me constantly that I might get in trouble if I fill in the blank, especially if it's something like different, I haven't experienced, I don't know what to expect. My mind might really start playing games and getting out of control. So as it relates to purpose, it's really, really important to understand that you have to know where things are coming from. You have to know if the mind is acting up, therefore freaking the soul out. And then the soul starts saying things out loud, basically in emotions, whether that be sadness, anxiety, whatever, so just an emotion that's coming through that's really heavy. It could very well be because the mind is acting out or acting up. So really important for those things, for you to understand those things when it comes to building that muscle of discernment and building that muscle of really listening and connecting with your soul and understanding what your soul wants. And I would say those are probably enough for right now because, like I said, I could go on and on and on about the component of the soul as it relates to finding your purpose and how important the soul is in the grand scheme of things. And ultimately, it is your purpose, right? Your purpose is to fulfill your soul's desires. And I think it's just really important to understand some of the things that really get in the way and doing this work, healing and understanding when your mind's really trying to engage and get in the middle of it all. Or if a person from the outside is really trying to engage and get in the middle of it all. These are things that can really get in the way of this purpose that you're trying to fulfill. So I will leave you with that. There's so much about the soul that I can talk about, but I think that sometimes these bite-sized things are helpful to understand because it's all on the journey. And if you're really, really interested in finding what your purpose is, aka fulfilling your soul's desires, these are things that are going to jump out of the bushes, if you will, and really catch you off guard. You'll be like walking along, you'll be like, okay, yeah, I get it. I'm going to really pay attention to what my soul wants. I'm going to really feel when she's asking for something, and I'm really going to feel into it and understand how to fulfill that for her and go out in the world and just do what she's asking me to do because she wants to do it. And then you're going to like have something jump out of the bushes and just attack you, and you're gonna be like, what is happening? I thought I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. And you'll get off track and that'll frustrate you. And so just remember that depending on, how far along you are in life, depending on your life experiences, depending on a lot of stuff, this work could be easier or harder for you, or eras can be harder or easier for you. There's times in our life where this work is like, ooh, we're in the flow. We got it. We know exactly what the soul wants and we're fulfilling those desires. And then there's other times where it's just like, ugh, poof, thud. We don't know what has happened. We don't know where we're at. We're confused. We thought we had it all figured out and now we don't know anymore. So it's really important to understand that there's a lot to this, and your ability to continue the work no matter what and make that commitment to your soul to say, just even if you start by saying, I'm not going to get this right. There's a chance I'm not going to get this right, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try really, really hard to listen to what you want and fulfill your desires and not let the mind lead the way on this, and not let the mind tell us what we want, but let you tell me what you want. So over time, it's going to ebb, it's going to flow. And the more discernment you have, the better and bigger you can build that muscle, the closer and closer you'll get to feeling like you have a truly fulfilling life that you love, and you're really connected to yourself, you're really connected to your soul, you're fulfilling your soul's desires, and you're really doing it. Yeah, so there's just going to be times where you feel that way, and there's going to be times where you don't feel that way. But the more you build that muscle, the more you can connect with yourself, connect with your soul, really fulfill your soul's desires, and feel like you're just doing it. You're really in it, and you're really doing it, and you're doing a great job. So I wouldn't say that this type of stuff or this type of work is perfection ever. I've been doing this kind of work for about 5 years now, and I have different components I'm starting to mix in, like human design and some other things. And it's always still just learning. It's always just learning myself, my soul. It's really always just learning how and when to tap in and connect and understand what she needs and what healing she needs. And every time I think I'm like really good with the healing part, something else pops up that I've got to address and start working on. So it's kind of this honestly never ending motion of fulfilling your purpose, which is fulfilling your soul's desires. So it's a lot of connecting with yourself. It's a lot of healing. It's a lot of trying to discern and understand what is right, what is wrong for you. But it's the utilization of all these tools and understanding that your soul speaks in emotions and what those emotions are coming from. Understanding that your mind has a really large component of this because it tries to drive the train all the time, and it doesn't need to, and it shouldn't, but it will try. And your body just having the capability to really signal to you how it's feeling. And if you put those three things together, you're really well on your way, but understanding truly that this stuff takes time. It takes healing. It takes effort. And having a relationship with your soul so that you know exactly what she wants is no different than any other relationship. If you never work on it, it's probably not going to get any better, and it's probably going to remain the same. So anyway, that's that about the soul. And I will continue to talk about this and add layers to this because there are a lot of layers. And I just want you to take away knowing that your purpose in life is to fulfill your soul's desires. And the faster you can get to how to do that and understanding the different components and how the components work together to get you to that place, the sooner you can do that, the better. And the faster you will understand and feel fulfilled and feel like you're really living out the kind of life that you're proud of, that you love, that you're chasing your dreams. You're just having the kind of life you wish you had. So, and having it all too, not just like, oh, I have a good relationship, but my bank account sucks, or my bank account's huge, but I hate my job, So we're talking about having a very holistic, very rounded out, very fulfilled life, and that being able to be accomplished through this work of constantly connecting with yourself and your soul. So until next time, bye guys.